So hopefully you guys have been hanging on to this series since day one. It's been fun doing 10 weeks of videos and trying to get some POVs and everything else. Of course, we talked about how Emma, was her stuff from seasons 1 to 9 and beyond sometimes. Season 1, episode 1 was when I talked about her being with the catfishing situation and the fact that she was catfished and it led to some conflict with Liberty and Manny later in the season and how she couldn't process it and it may have changed her character. Episode 2 was when she was upset that Spike and Snake were dating. I mean, what student would want their parent dating a teacher? And then, of course, they'll fight for your right thing with Radich and all that. That basically Mount Emma blew up several times and was one of the most triggered characters in a season. Season 3, I talked about how Emma finally found out about her dad, despite the fact that Spike did not want her to find out everything. Snake did the right thing by calming her down by saying about Shane's situation. Episode 4 was when one little backhanded comment about her being mad that Liberty and Chris would be dating and that it would affect her led to Emma being in trouble from Rick. I mean, her joining Paige's clique to try to get rid of Rick, and then her being upset that they didn't use the Orange Ribbon campaign to how she perceived it. So she basically stopped it and got the school scorn, and basically she was almost on a lonely island. And of course, saw me Emma. Season 5, I talked about how, Emma took Manny into her home, but basically was just being bossy and all that, and still wanted to be with Peter despite what he did to Manny, putting Manny in a bad spot. Season 6, I talked about when Sean came back and Emma dumping Peter off because she still had feelings for Sean, and it was shooting related. I mean, fight with me on that. But the fact of the matter was that Emma blew up in the episode If You Leave, and you know, she was upset when Sean left for the army, and Emma was not too pleased. Season 7, Emma having one of her normal seasons with little drama except for the purple dragon thing because she decides to take what people think of her and try to turn around and try to taunt people by saying, "Now do you think I'm predictable? Huh? Huh?" And then, of course, seasons 8 and 9 were one episode to do with the college years. Practically how, you know, Emma was like so clingy towards friends and trying to get a girl or trying to keep Kelly and all that. It ruined her character. And then I talked about last week. I talked about Emma and Manny and their relationship and how it was one-sided. Practically, Emma was trying to protect Manny from herself, but she went too far. It's basically she had good idea, poor execution. And then I rank about the worst things she did as a friendship thing. Now let's talk about the hole bricks in Emma's wall, the 8 biggest events that leads to her massive internalization. So this is the final episode. All in all, it's just bricks in Emma's wall. Face it, Emma, you're much hated. We know that things kinda make you jaded. That's okay though, everyone goes through them. But you have to let people in your wall. Putting up a wall is not what you really have to do. People will help you and make you overrated. It's just the bricks in Emma's wall. All right, so here's how it's going down. I'm going to talk about 8 moments that Emma had her internalization issues. I did try a post on Reddit, but didn't get much response, so I'm not going off of that. So anyway, this is how I'm ranking the 8 biggest internalization things to do with Emma. All right. Number 8 is the offense of if you leave and the aftermath. You may be thinking, how is that possible? Well, this is what I'm telling you. So, in season 6, Emma and Manny throw Liberty a birthday party. And unfortunately, though, it turns deadly because JT gets stabbed in the aorta by Lakehurst. 2 episodes later in the episode If You Leave, Emma finds out that Manny's going to move back in with her parents in the wake of the whole JT stabbing and all that. And Emma's upset that she's going to lose Manny as an ally. Manny says, not so fast. We'll still be friends and all that. You have nothing to worry about, Emma. But Emma worries her butt off and all that. I mean, Emma had good reason to worry. I mean, JT was stabbed just steps from her house at a house party that should not have happened. Emma probably felt guilty that the house party led to these situations. And, her house is a crime scene. But of course, Emma couldn't tell many what she really thought. She did find some ex Lakehurst people as allies that would listen to her rhetoric, including Sean. Manny was not too pleased that Emma was spreading the rhetoric. And after all, Emma talking about the whole thing that Lakers should not come to the cheer competition, that it should be canceled because of JT's death. And Snake said that the logistics are preventing it from happening. So anyway, Emma starts a Degrassi Lakehurst fight by chanting "Go home, Lakehurst" at the cheerleading thing. Degrassi should have been disqualified because of Emma's actions. I don't know why they still won. Nevertheless, Emma is put under massive suspension and she basically, or detention, sorry, and she doesn't care. She tells Snake that they killed JT. Wrong. Ones didn't kill JT. You can't blame the whole school. Basically, Emma's just saying everyone's moving on from JT and I'm pissed. Of course, that's a red flag because Emma and JT didn't really correspond and all that. It was just massive guilt. Like Emma's guilt over JT dying at an event that should not have happened got to her. But Snake tells her that she needs to fix things with Manny. And they do. Emma and Manny make up and they don't screw each other around over. But that could be viewed as internalization because let's face facts. Emma projected her frustrations in the whole JT stabbing thing. Whereas in number one, in the Rick situation, she didn't project. She didn't say anything about what happened. She kept it in for too long. She didn't keep it in, and then she probably figures that everyone was tired of her rhetoric, so she decided to internalize to stay being a clean friend and all that. So that's what I think it is. I think the whole thing was that Emma learned that if she needed to keep friends and a boyfriend, she needed to internalize things and all that. She sees the effects of it. Well, regardless of that. Number 7 is shame. Be thinking that's a little too low. Well, the fact of the matter is that, you know, Emma didn't know much about Shane. She had fuzzy memories of him when she was 3 years old. So practically nobody wanted to give her any help. Like Spike was about to give birth to baby Jack, and Emma wanted to know about her father. And Spike says, "We're not discussing that." End of story. And nobody's of any help to Emma. So Emma decides to try to figure things out on her own. She finds a Shane McKay, but he's a black doctor. Oh, it could have happened. Nevertheless, she does find through the alumni thing that Shane lives in Stouffville. So she courses Craig to come with her, and they find Shane, brilliantly played by Jonathan Torres, who is the guy who actually got Degrassi people to reunite on his show Jonovision in 1999. So anyway, so she finds out about Shane and was upset with Spike. They have a shouting match, and then the next morning, Snake confronts Emma and tells her about Shane, the fact that his parents did not want him being involved in Emma's life. And so he went to a concert, took acid, and jumped or fell off a bridge. We don't know. And then, he had the brain injury, and his parents dumped him off into the home for the mentally impaired because they wanted to get rid of him. They didn't want the shame of their son, you know, fathering a child at his age. Well, the father was and the minister, and things have changed in the past 4 decades. Nevertheless, Emma then finds out it was the mental hospital, not the real hospital that she saw Shane. And Snake did the right thing by telling Emma these things because she needed to know. She was the right age. And Emma basically forgave Spike and, was upset when Shane tried to go after Spike after finding out Emma's address. She says, "Stop this now or we won't communicate." And I doubt they communicated. Too bad we didn't get to know. I mean, I think Emma just wanted to keep Shane's capacity in as a secret. She didn't want anyone to know. Stupid. Number 6 is Sean leaving her not once but twice. Actually, we'll make it Sean leaving the second time. Number 6, technically. So Sean comes back in season 6 after leaving for Wasaga in the wake of the Rickmer situation, suffering from massive PTSD. He comes back for Emma in season 6 at the time that Emma and Peter's relationship actually is approved by Manny and a lot of people. Peter decides to befriend Sean and then finds out these things, and then finds out through Manny that about Emma and Sean's relationships in the past. Peter freaks out and decides to go after Sean after Emma refused to give a straight answer who she'd rather be with, Peter or Sean. So he plants fake drugs in Sean's locker. Sean gets expelled, and basically Peter and Emma are together. Peter and Sean have a street race, and Sean crashes into a pedestrian. Peter leaves the scene of an accident. No, sorry, Peter's there, but Jay tells Sean to leave the scene of an accident, which was stupid. Sean gets arrested for that. Anyway, a lot of people said, well, why did Emma not help Sean out? Because Emma would have been an accessory to a fugitive, so she would have been in trouble. So basically, Sean's put in jail. Manny and Jay spend time trying to convince Emma that Peter's the bad guy, and finally, Emma feels that way when there was a mask in her locker, and she didn't tell Peter a combination. Peter basically said he did for the relationship. Emma blows him off and then goes back to Sean. Of course, Sean helps Emma's rhetoric in "If You Leave" by listening to her. A pre-season 6 Sean would probably call Emma out on her bullshit. But anyway, yeah, the relationship lasts until Sean goes to the military because, he can't go back to school and he doesn't want to waste his time. So he gets to call of the army. Emma's upset and decides to maybe fake a pregnancy, but she can't go through with it, the ruse, and let Sean go. But you knew that she was upset that Sean left her and all that. They did correspond and all that, but I think Emma wanted Sean there physically to be with her. And that's probably what led to her not being too happy with things. Number 5 is her whole college arc in seasons 8 and 9. The fact of the matter was that when Emma went to Smithdale with Manny and Liberty, well, Liberty wasn't supposed to be at Smithdale. She was supposed to be at Banting, but because of the whole thing with Damien at the end of season 7, she didn't want to go anywhere near Damien. Fair? And she owed it to Emma? Probably. But anyway, Emma decides to pull some strings and get Manny to be her dorm mate, even though that they were separated. Unfortunately, Liberty gets dragged in too. Emma tells Liberty she just wanted Manny, that's all. So unfortunately, chaos ensues, and basically the other girls think that Emma is just being clingy and all that. I'll get to that later, but the fact was that Emma was found Kelly, the male roommate, and gets Kelly. So anyway, sorry about that. So anyway, yeah, Manny did her job and all that, but Emma finds out that Kelly's friends call her blonde and vanilla and all that, and she says, "I'm not that blonde anymore." Emma decides to take it upon herself to prove everyone wrong by participating in the floor Olympics and getting with Kelly's friends and smoking weed and making pot brownies. Unfortunately, one girl passes out while under the of pot brownies. And basically what ends up happening is that she gets in a diabetic coma. Well, she didn't take her diabetic stuff. And everyone freaks out and basically is found out about the pot brownies. Kelly gets caught with the stuff, even though Emma should have flushed everything out. Emma does want to take the fall, but Kelly says you're going to get expelled for this. So she internalizes that. Unfortunately, trying to get to Kelly and all that makes Kelly upset. He wants a real job. His dad's going to hook him up and he's going to do something that's fun. And Emma's upset that Kelly would want to leave her and basically tells Kelly, you go to the Yukon. You've wasted a good relationship. Unfortunately, though, Emma was being, clingy and very bossy. Of course, Emma is also keeping in a secret to Spike and Snake, especially Spike and Snake, that, in the whole recycle project, she talks about it, but she says college is lonely. You're young, you're broke, you're lonely. Your goal is to try to make friends and all that, and you do such a thing that you skip major classes to chase friends, and you're failing behind. Spike and Snake talk to her about things, and Emma says that, well, once Manny left for Hollywood and Liberty pledged a sorority, I stupidly thought that Liberty went to pre law, but I was wrong. Basically, Emma was all by herself, and she had Kelly. She was trying to cling on to Kelly because Kelly was the only thing left. She didn't have any friends, nobody talked to her. She basically lost them and lost herself. So she decides to take a gap year, try to help people, and then ends up marrying Spinner. But you could tell that she was struggling and she didn't want Snake and Spike to interfere in things. I mean, it's understood. People don't want to go through college and fail flat on their face. Like Paige did that. They did that in season 6 with Paige. Or is it 5 and 6 with Paige? No, season 6 with Paige. But the fact of the matter was that Emma was just internalizing her college problems. And this leads to number 4 is the whole clingy girlfriend slash friend phase. Emma wanted to be a clingy friend and girlfriend. There were a lot of things that led to it, especially the whole Rick situation, the if you leave stuff from season 6 and college in season 8. There's a pattern that Emma wants to keep friendships going, but she goes overboard. And after all, she wants a relationship with a guy. In season 1, she was with Sean before he ruined it by pushing Emma in a fight when he was fighting Jimmy. Sean left for the Candy Bandits, Jay's group, leaving Emma high and dry in season 3, and she was upset by that and wanted to be vindictive of Sean. Season 4, she had nobody around her. Season 5, she went with Peter, despite the fact that Peter put Manny in a bad spot. But the fact of the matter is that that's there. And also with Sean in season 6, she wanted to hang on to Sean. She got Sean back. She wanted to hang on to Sean so much she wanted to fake a pregnancy. Of course, cooler heads prevailed, but still, season 7, she tried to cling on to Damien by adopting a dog to get Damien to like her. And in season 8 and 9, trying to do whatever please to keep Kelly, but it failed miserably. So Emma just wanted to be normal like everyone else, with a good friend group and a boyfriend. Unfortunately, the only boys that liked Emma back were Creepy, as in Toby, a gunman, that being Rick, and a guy who just basically wasn't a guy who basically was only there for a few episodes, Chester, and a guy whose mental state changed, Sean, season 6 Sean, compared to like season 3 Sean. All right, number 3 is the Peter situation for her massive internalization. You may be thinking that's a little low, but trust me, it's there for a reason. So anyway, Emma is attracted to Peter. In season 5, in the opening scene, she tells Manny that this Peter guy is the first boy she's liked since Hurricane Sean blew through her emotional trailer park. If you take a look at that scene, if you dissect that scene, You can probably figure that Emma was upset when Sean left her in season 4 in Back in Black to go back to Wasaka Beach for his PTSD. He had to. And I think Emma did know that he was with Ellie. But I think that, with what Sean did to help Emma out, and now I'll talk about that later, she was she wanted to be with Sean and all that because after all, he saved her from a bullet. So anyway, she goes with Peter. Peter puts Manny in a bad spot by taping her being drunk and flashing her breasts, and of course, um, blackmailing Manny for $3,000, or else he'll show the video. Unfortunately, Manny can't come up with the money, so Peter addresses everyone with the video, and Emma blows off at Manny only because she thinks that Manny is wants to go after Peter instead of her. But after Manny was low, feeling very low, Emma realized she had to help. And so she did. Good for her. At least Emma did okay. But unfortunately, Emma decides to go with Peter because Peter makes her feel good about stuff. And Peter plants some stuff about Manny in Emma's head. You can see it. That basically he blames Manny for everything and Emma just goes along with it. I don't know why. It just pisses me off. Nevertheless, Emma still wanted to be with Peter and all that, despite what Peter did to her. And of course, the whole thing coming out and all that. You could also say that Emma had her internalization after finding Spike, Snake kissing Miss Hatzelackos. But she tells Spike about it because she feels compelled to, even though it breaks up their family for a while. But, Emma felt guilty and probably just internalized her thoughts. She had to internalize things. I mean, her eating disorder was all about internalizing things, that she was trying to keep people from realizing she was with Peter, and she was trying to control herself after what happened in season 4. They stage an intervention. Emma blows off everybody, but then has a panic attack, put in the hospital, and vows to beat everything, which she does. So, yeah, she was trying to keep the Peter thing inside her head, thinking no one needs to know about that. But yeah, you do, because that's not Emma. Anyway, number 2 on the list is the whole catfishing thing from season 1. Maybe thinking that's a little too high. No, there's a reason. So anyway, Emma's first major storyline in Next Generation was the main storyline of the first episode of season 1. And that Emma finds an online friend named Jordan, and he she helps him out with some environmental stuff, and basically he wants to meet her in Toronto. Emma decides to take Jordan up on that offer, despite Manny, JT, and Toby's misgivings, which was proven correct when Manny says that Emma's show that she says she's watching isn't on TV. And basically, they all figure that Emma probably made up with Jordan. And through computer sleuthing, JT and Toby find out about where Emma is. Unfortunately, Emma is catfished because this Jordan guy is a middle-aged man wants to take advantage of Emma. Emma tries to leave but fails, and she's cornered. Fortunately, though, JT, Toby, and Manny get Spike and Snake to help out, and Emma is freed. Emma's computer is put in as evidence, and basically they have to check things out. And, you know, Spike's not too happy with Emma with what she did. And she tells Emma, you can tell me everything. We're a team and all that. Unfortunately, though, Emma doesn't take advice and all that. But little did we know this whole catfishing thing actually led to trouble down the road in season 1. First off, it was with Liberty and the fact that Coach Armstrong put his arm around Liberty to comfort her. Emma wasn't sure how to deal with it, but Manny says, it's okay, Emma. I think everything will be fine. Unfortunately, though, Terry finds out stuff and spreads the rumors, and basically Liberty finds out through Ashley. But basically, Terry blames Emma for everything, and Emma believes Terry, even though Terry was the one at fault. So Emma goes to Radich to clear Armstrong's name, and fortunately, he did okay. She talks to Liberty at the end, and Liberty's upset, saying that you could have ruined his career. Thankfully, she didn't. And Emma's like, I was just looking out for you. But of course, Liberty tells Emma, go back to saving the world because being a friend, you suck. So that was terrible. And then you got Manny and her cheerleading thing. Manny wants to join the Spirit Squad. And Paige says, we're going to make sure we cover all our bases. It's not sexist. We have boys on our team too. Well, technically, that's not sexism. That's gender. You don't talk about. So the gender thing's okay, but sexism. Emma writes an op-ed, and Paige and them are upset because if it gets in, then the Spirit Squad could be pulled. But it wasn't. Basically, Emma was a little bit petty towards Manny being a cheerleader and all that, and was worried about Manny and the line of cheerleading. You couldn't trust Paige. How the tables would turn 3 years later. But yeah, Emma basically was upset with things and was worried about Liberty and Manny and thinking that they were going to be victims like her and being catfished. But, as I said, right idea, wrong execution. And finally, number one, the major internalization of Emma, season 4. Like you probably guessed that was going to happen. So season 4 was weird. Emma and Chris have broken up. Emma finds out through Manny that Chris and Liberty wants to be with Chris. And Manny says she'll help Emma get Chris back. But Emma says that's not the point. The point is, what are people going to think of me if Chris goes out with Liberty? And of course, Manny's upset with that. Rightfully so. Unfortunately for Liberty, Manny and Emma, like Emma loses Manny and Liberty because of her stupidity and all that. Emma tries to justify her actions but fails. That leads her to getting into Paige's clique to try to gain a friend group. And they want to destroy Rick because Rick comes back to school like with no strings attached, as it seemed. And of course, Radish pisses off Emma. Anyway, Emma decides to do an orange ribbon campaign, and they try to do this to help people with domestic violence and to feel good about themselves, especially Emma. But Emma finds her group, but then finds out that the students are using her orange ribbon campaign as a way to beat up on Rick, and then decides to protect Rick from a beating. And basically, everyone shuns her at the school and all that. So all she's got left is the quiz bowl team of Rick, Toby, and Heather Sinclair. Strange because Emma mocked Heather one time. So basically, she had little friends to deal with. And that unfortunately got Rick and to an extent Toby to be creepy towards her, doing a kissing bet involving her, and Rick having the courage to go after Emma. Emma doesn't realize these signs and all that, and even if she did, who would she confide to? She can't really. Well, she could confide to Snake. She couldn't confide to Radish because Radish is a piece of shit sometimes, and she didn't really have friends, no Manny or Liberty, so that hurt her in the long run. Of course, we all know about Emma being targeted by Rick after he conveniently finds her after shooting Jimmy and basically wants to hurt her. Sean tries to calm Rick down. Unfortunately, Rick says, it's too late, I already shot somebody, and there's a fight for the gun. Rick dies. Sean accidentally shoots him. Emma's traumatized by this. Emma seems fine, but like the next few episodes, you would not know that Emma was traumatized. Yes, in Back in Black, she cries and tells Sean, you saved my life. I don't know what to say and all that because, everyone's staring at her. And then she goes to Wasaga with Sean to confront his parents. But Sean realizes that his parents sent him to Toronto with the best of intentions and that, he had the PTSD from Rick. Emma, of course, is upset. Even Ellie is upset over Sean staying at Wasaga Beach. But, Emma looks forlorn. In the next few episodes, she's fine. She doesn't really show signs. But you can tell something was gnawing at her. In secret, everything just came out. I don't know how long it was since Emma was destroyed. I think a month and a half, I say, roughly, because, Eye of the Tiger, Jimmy says he was in rehab for 3 months. So what ends up happening is that Emma does her stupid stuff in secret. Jay creeps up on her, and she doesn't really give any notice. She goes to the ravine with Jay. She gets the bracelet. She flaunts them in front of Amy and um, Alex, and basically she thinks she has control. Unfortunately, though, a gonorrhea attack happens. Emma is shunned and all that from the school play and all that. So Emma is screwed over. And then Emma, at the end of Secret, tells Spike and Snake that she just wanted to be perfect because that was how she was perceived. And the whole Rick situation, I just want to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect for anybody. And then Snake says, Em, if there's any problems, I don't think you need to worry about things. And she says, I do. And of course, that's what leads to things. Her internalization about the Rick situation may have led to her character being reset from one extreme to the other. It's a hard pressed thing, but Emma still had things about the Rick situation. I think her eating disorder was just a perfect storm of hiding Peter from everybody and her like trying to get control back over the old Emma. I think that the whole situation in If You Leave in season 6 was a way for Emma trying to get back to herself, her old self, but realizing that people hated the old self, she decides to change things and be more friend worthy and girlfriend worthy. And that's being clingy. Fight me on it, whatever you want. So anyway, thanks for watching this series. I know it took a while, but I had to get a lot off my chest. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond, Cutter Historical. Adieu.